Li Qian's Zhang Jingyi, first collab confirmed Steamy. Li Qing rap photos break the internet. On the final day of filming somewhere in Shenzhen, a male actor stands with his back to the camera, looking out the window. That was the photo that went viral across the internet starting from the 12th August. No dialogue, no dramatic background music, just a man with his tie slightly loosened, gazing distantly into space, while a few frames away, a woman gently traces her fingers over a piece of pottery still warm from the kiln. They don't look at each other. They aren't even in the same frame. Yet that quiet, almost nothing happening moment made half my group chat convinced that Li Qing will absolutely break audiences' hearts next year. Just hours after the photo was posted, the comments section was flooded with all sorts of reactions. Someone wrote a whole paragraph analyzing Li Qian's gaze in the picture, claiming that just looking at his back feels as heavy as carrying whole years. Others joked that these are the two best actors of the year at doing absolutely nothing, yet still making people cry. There was also no shortage of more skeptical comments. A few veteran romance drama fans left a gentle reminder. Anon can take a nice photo. The real deal is whether they can maintain this vibe on screen. All in all, the initial reactions from viewers weren't uniform, but they shared one common thread. Almost everyone was reeled in by that photo for much longer than usual. Let me recount it from the beginning. 98 days prior, on the 29th of April, the production crew entered Guangzhou, kicking off a grueling summer shooting season. Konghua, Kaiping, Foshan, the Shenzhen coastline, all submerged in the characteristic humid heat of the south, stretching all the way from May to August. They weren't just shooting a movie. In a way, they were recording a slow-burning confession that took 6 whole years to finally utter. Here is the story behind the story. Chen Qingwu grew up next door to the Meng family, practically betrothed since childhood to their youngest son, Meng Qirian, before the two of them even had a say of their own. Two families, a tacit understanding. The kind of arrangement that sounds romantic when you're kids, but becomes suffocating once you're grown up and trapped in it. Qirian liked her enough to keep her by his side, but never enough to truly let go of his freedom and step into a fully committed relationship. 9 years she spent waiting for a man who wanted to enjoy her warm devotion without ever paying the price of commitment. And 9 years is simply too long a time to chase someone who has never genuinely run toward you. What no one in that story noticed, for 6 of those 9 years, was the older brother who always quietly stood exactly one respectful step away watching over her. Meng Fuyuan doesn't talk much. He is a self-made tech entrepreneur whom relatives often describe as composed and capable, a euphemism for the fact that he has built a wall so impenetrable that no one ever thinks to ask what lies behind it. He watched his younger brother squander her sincerity. He watched her leave family dinners with red-rimmed eyes more times than he could count. And quietly, without anyone asking, he began secretly committing everything about her to memory. The type of tea she unconsciously picks, the pottery studio she escapes to, whenever things go south, the resources that her fledgling pottery studio genuinely needed, yet she was too proud to ask for. He never said a single word. 6 years without a word, because nominally she belonged to someone else. Because older brother was the only role that allowed him to stay close to her without having to lie about his true feelings. This was precisely the detail that sent the original novel's fan community into a frenzy right from the moment the adaptation news was announced. Many loyal readers straight up call this the pinnacle of mature, unrequited love, not because of thrilling plot twists, but because anyone who has read the book remembers that suffocating feeling of the characters maintaining that just safe enough distance across hundreds of chapters. Some readers openly admitted to feeling frustrated while reading, like, "Why won't you just speak up?" Yet simultaneously understanding why he couldn't. That kind of tug-of-war reaction, in my opinion, is precisely why this story lingers in readers' minds for so long, not because it's sweet, but because it's real. Then something inside Chen Qingwu finally broke, not with a bang, more like a slow, heavy sigh. She stopped waiting. She stopped making increasingly nicer excuses to justify Kirian's behavior. One day, she walked into a pottery studio and started afresh, her hands buried in clay, and never looked back. Word has it that this is also the origin of the drama's title, Li Qing, blue-green emerging from the mist. She had lived in a version of life shaped by others for all those years. Now, she would fire her own colors piece by piece, even if it wasn't perfect. And that was when Meng Fuyuan finally allowed himself to step forward. No longer as the older brother, but as the man who had silently observed and memorized her for half a decade, now ready to give away everything he had ever cared to notice. Honestly, when I first heard the trope of secretly loving your younger brother's girlfriend for 6 years, I braced myself for the worst. The kind of over-the-top, forced love triangle where everyone is screaming and nobody is actually mature. But the detail that caught my attention was much smaller than that. Word is, in the original work, Meng Fuyuan still keeps the old camera she once gave him, and the memory card inside contains nothing but photos of her. No one told him to keep it. He simply did it silently for years, much like how people store away evidence of emotions they tell themselves they have no right to hold. That is precisely the kind of detail that a director like Cui Yuning knows how to handle. This is the man who brought us It Started With a Kiss and In Time With You, someone who has spent his entire career proving that the pain of unexpressed feelings can strike the heart harder than any grand declaration of love. Teamed up with screenwriter Zhang Junba, who penned the poignant, gentle works like Hidden Love, and you'll understand why this project has been heavily buzzed about even before airing a single episode. Both of them know how to let silence do the heavy lifting. On the casting front, it's hard to dispute this choice. Li Xian in a suit carries just the right amount of elegant, somewhat aloof vibe that Meng Fuyuan requires. The kind of man who makes the camera believe he is suppressing something. Zhang Jingyi exudes a cold, stubborn, artistic flair, which fits a woman who rebuilds herself out of clay and sheer stubbornness. Their scenes together. By the seaside, beside the pool, an almost kiss in the snow, a proposal scene that drove fans wild. Reportedly don't feel like staged chemistry, but rather like two actors who truly understand the weight their characters are carrying. Across social media platforms, this pairing was almost instantly pushed up as the most anticipated acting duo of the second half of the year. Some viewers left comments saying this is the first time they've seen Li Xian play a never-before-tried type of character, while a section of Zhang Jingyi's fans are thrilled that she finally has a role weighty enough to break through. Of course, there's no shortage of dissenting opinions. Some worry that the male lead's cold tech entrepreneur styling could easily be boxed into stereotypes, resembling previous roles he has played. But overall, the majority of reactions still leaned towards curiosity. People want to see how these two familiar faces will tell a different story. But the thing I keep thinking about is that this isn't quite a love story that begins when the man finally speaks up. This is a story about a woman who had to stop needing someone else to speak up first before she could recognize true love when it appeared. Chen Qingwu wasn't saved by anyone. She saved herself first, and only then did someone appear, someone truly worthy of standing beside her. It's a small structural choice, but it completely changes how this romance touches the audience. It's the difference between a woman falling for a man and a woman, already whole, proactively making her choice. There is a line from the original work that fans have quoted over and over countless times, roughly meaning he quietly asks her not to just keep looking toward his younger brother anymore, but to look at him just once. Whether Li Xian can convey that line with all 6 years of tightly repressed tremors hidden inside, that is precisely the scene the entire fan community is waiting for, the moment that will determine whether the drama lives up to its very name. For now, all we have is that wrap day photo. Two people, a single frame, not touching each other, not even facing each other. He looks out the window. She looks down at what she crafted with her own hands. Both of them somehow still waiting for the exact same ray of light. Li Qing is an IQ